you in the right place. Hello. Hello. Now, first things first, this is an odd time for me to go live. It's 5 p.m. here in the UK. So that is midday for a lot of the viewers in the US. So maybe I'll see some new faces. Maybe I'll see some not so new faces. I don't know. Maybe I'll see no faces. Maybe I'll see no one. We'll see what happens. So the reason I'm going live now instead of my usual time slot, and apologies if you missed this, but I put it on my stories yesterday, so people had 24 hours notice. Whether you see my stories or not is a different matter. But the reason is my kids are off today, this whole week actually. So we have what's called over here half term. So they have a week off mid-term. And Andy also, who is my other half, he managed to book today off. So we've taken them today to an outdoor water park with inflatables and all those kind of things. So it's 5 p.m. here. So it could still be morning to you. It could be midday. Could be evening, could be, I don't know. So we're having a live at a different time of day. So if you don't know who I am Connie. I am the owner of Faff Designs. I am one of your Dixie Belle brand ambassadors. I go live every week on a Tuesday here, but it's usually a lot earlier. It's usually 2 p.m. for me, which is a lot earlier in the morning for you. So, like I say, maybe we'll see some new faces, maybe we won't. Also, what you'll notice is it's a hot mess going on behind me. Apologies for that, but I've got something over here on my staging wall down there that I'm actually staging at the moment. So you should be able to see that if you follow me on social media. So thank you for viewing. If you are here, thank you very much. I did give literally 10 minutes notice on my stories that I'd be going live at 5 p.m. And that's because we've been out all day. Wasn't sure what time we were going to get home because the place that we went to was sort of about 45 minutes, an hour away, and traffic and all that. I didn't want to like say that I'd be back at a certain time and then not be here to do the live. So I'm just going live with 10 minutes notice on my stories. So last week, if you caught the live, I did a very, very quick demo on how you can refresh bamboo furniture. Wicker bamboo cane. So if you want something that's not painted but it's starting to look a little bit dried out, a little bit tired, then that live will explain the one product that I use from Dixie Belle to give it a really nice shine, and that chair sold. It sold straight away. So that was a nice easy flip. Just a little bit of how to do hemp oil, and she was a good one. And I promised you this week we'd do something that's painted. So this, obviously, as you can see, is already painted. I painted this a few years ago in the colour Mint Julep for my kids' bedroom. And the decor's now changed. I threw this in storage, in my storage unit. And now we're going to paint it again. So I can hopefully resell it. So the prep work that I've done on this is minimal because it's already been painted, it's already been prepped by me. The top coat that I put on here was a glossy top coat to give it a nice sheen. So all I've done is I've used a Dixie Belle sanding sponge. I don't even know where I've put it. It's here. So I use one of these, which is equivalent to a 220 grit, and I've literally just gone over it to knock the shine down. That's all you need to do. And then I got my vacuum, which is usually the thing that I use my sander with. Usually my sander attaches to this hose to suck the dust up as I'm sanding. But it's also got like I bought a detailer set for it, so I could vacuum all dust out of pieces of furniture basically. So if you have got something that's like this, Wicker, it's really good for getting in all the little bits and bobs. Obviously you're hoovering it, sucking it up as you go. So that's one of these little brush things. Very good. Just for getting in all here, because they do hold dust, these. Especially for people that don't dust like me. So I don't dust. I just wait until you can literally just like wipe it off the surface and hold it till it's about 1 inch thick on the furniture. No, it's not that bad, but I don't like dusting. So what you need to paint something like this, wicker, bamboo, anything like that, is not a lot different to painting physical furniture, just a solid wooden piece of furniture. The only difference really is technique, slightly, ever so slightly. And I do, if you don't want to watch the live, I do have a pre-recorded video on my own YouTube channel. You can find me at FAF Designs, FAFF Designs. I've got a pre-recorded YouTube video on there, which is a little bit less chatty and things like that, because obviously I'm live, so I'm a bit chatty. But obviously that's an edited video if you want to go and watch that. But the things that you need are your choice of paint, and you can paint this kind of stuff with any of the Dixie Belle paints. So you've got chalk mineral paint, which is the original paint. You've also got silk, which is the all-in-one silk paint, which has got a built-in top coat, built-in stain blocking primer. So if you are painting a light colour with, I don't know, maybe silk, and you wanted to go sort of one of the neutrals, and you think that you might have an issue with bleed through because some bamboo can be quite orangey, then silk has got that built-in stain blocking primer, which might be very handy to do. I personally like using chalk mineral paint because what you also need is a little bit of water. So you have to be careful how much water you add to silk. It's got a tolerance of about 10% before you start to break down the properties in the paint, which make it what it is. So the built-in top coat, the built-in stain block. If you put too much water in, those things start to not work. So it kind of defeats the object, if that makes any sense at all. If not, let me know. Let me know if I'm talking too fast. I've had too much caffeine today. Taking kids round a lake. Hi, Holly. So you need your paint of choice. Now, I did read the comments and your suggestions from last week. I asked you what colour I should paint this table. I read a lot of purples, and I'm sorry I'm not painting it purple. I've not got a problem with purple, personally, but it does not sell. It won't sell, and it does not sell for me. So it's not purple, and I'm sorry to disappoint. So I'm going to be painting it green. Predictable, I know. Sorry, that's me. I am predictable. And I'm actually going to be painting it the same colour that I painted the bedsides on the video that's pre-recorded on my own channel, which has over 10,000 views. When I found the link for somebody the other day, I hadn't looked back on it because it's a couple of years old now, or year old maybe. And I was like, well, I didn't realise it had so many views. And the colour is evergreen. So this is a chalk mineral paint. So I will be top coating this, and I'll probably be using gloss because it gives it a really nice shine. And I kind of like that look with painted bamboo and wicker furniture. Obviously I can't top coat it today because I'll be painting it with you today. But like I say, the technique doesn't really change a huge amount. Now, ordinarily, for something like this, I would paint the underneath first. But I'm not going to paint the underneath with you because that's kind of boring. So I'll sort that out later. So in this bottle, this is a continuous mister bottle. It gives a really, you can't even see it hardly on camera. It gives a really fine mist. So it disperses your water onto your furniture in a fine mist instead of just splodging a load of water on. So that's really good for obviously all the products that I'm using at Dixie Belle. So that's a necessity for something like this because you need to get the paint in all of the wicker bits. I'm also using a synthetic brush. I use a round brush, and I'll show you why. And I'm using the colour Evergreen, like I say. So all I do is put some paint on my brush, make sure I've got an even amount of water on the surface. So I use more water painting wicker than I would if I was painting a wooden piece of furniture. And the reason for that is because I want the paint to be slightly thinner than usual, because you want to work it in to all the little nooks and crannies. And by making that first coat thinner, it just makes it slightly easier and less gloopy to fill in all those little bits. I'll bring you closer, that's better, there we go. So if I was painting a normal piece of furniture that had a flat surface, I'd just paint it like this. When I'm painting wicker, I tend to do this because it does have so many little nooks and crannies that you want to work all of that paint into. The second coat of paint, I don't usually add quite so much water. I'll add a little bit less because I'm hoping that the first coat, plus the fact that I've already painted this in a kind of greeny colour, that's gonna help with coverage. And the other good tip as well, when you're painting anything like this, wicker or cane or anything, is to move it around, because so many times when I thought, yep, I've finished, move it like that, and then I'm like, oh no, I can see some here that I've missed. Because it isn't just a flat surface, obviously there are, like I say, all those like little bits of texture that you need to work the paint into. And it stands out a mile because obviously it's quite orangey. I'm painting this green. So any little bits, I mean, obviously there is green paint on it, but say for example, if I didn't already have this pre-painted, it does stand out a mile. All you've got to do is turn it, and it might not pick it up on camera, but I can definitely see some of the lighter green. Well, you definitely can't see it because this is in the way, but I can definitely see some of the bits that I've missed. So keep turning it around. The good thing is, because you've added a little bit of water to your paint, it's not going to start drying down quite so quick. So you can kind of work it in a little bit. It just takes a little bit of working in as opposed to painting a flat surface. But obviously that's going to happen because you've got all these little bits where you need to get the paint into that can be a little bit stubborn. So for the rest of it, all you have to do is paint pretty normally, because this is obviously, there's a framework here, but it's essentially just like painting any other piece of furniture. So the only time that I'll use a lot of water, or a lot more water, is on like the wickery bits. On the normal kind of bits, if you like these bits here, which are made out of the bamboo, I think, I use slightly less water just because there isn't as much kind of nooks and crannies to work the paint into. So this is going to need probably 2 coats of paint, and this is the same as pretty much every time you put paint on a piece. Don't panic if you don't get instant coverage. So obviously I'm using a fair amount of water here, but we'll get coverage on the second coat. And if you want a smooth finish, just make sure when you have worked your paintbrush into all like the little grooves, just go back along it smooth, and that'll just give you a nice consistent finish instead of any kind of choppy bits where you've been doing that and jabbing your paintbrush in. Just smooth it out when you've done like that. And the other reason I like a round brush is because if you are painting any bits like this kind of framework, if you've got, let me find it. If you've got a brush that's the flat brush like this, what tends to happen is it goes around the spindle, and that's when you get drip marks, and you can also get kind of sort of clumps of paint, if you like, whereas a round brush kind of hugs it a little bit better. So I always tend to use a round, well, this is actually an oval, but a brush that's got a round kind of surface to it, if that makes sense. Just because they tend to hug the spindle a little bit better, and you don't get those kind of drip marks or any kind of gloops of paint. But that's personal preference, each to their own. And like I say, I do apologise for anybody that voted purple. But if I painted this purple, I know I'd still have it next year. So I'm not going to paint it purple. Purple's one of the hardest colours for me to shift. So again, just using a little bit more water. And you can probably tell if you haven't put quite enough water down, because you'll see bits where the paint isn't quite sitting in the all the grooves. A little bit more water and it starts to just loosens the paint up and makes it a little bit thinner, so that it tends to kind of go in all of those little grooves. So this is one of the pieces that is kind of a little bit less desirable wicker wise than the other piece that I was doing last week. Last week it would have been, I mean, it would have been pretty nice to paint, but it would have also been a little bit of a crime. And that's coming from somebody that makes a living from painting furniture. So this was a really pale bamboo, which is, in my experience, less desirable. That's not to say that people don't still like it unpainted, but it's less desirable than the sort of darker, more orangey bamboo. So, and it also had, this also had a little bit of damage to one of the legs that I filled in. So that's why I'm painting this, as opposed to, or why I did paint this, as opposed to the chair that I did last week. So you can see, obviously, I've got to do the underneath. I've got to do these kind of back bits here, this detail on the back there, and there's another one there. But you can see it's actually a fairly quick process. It's not, where are you? There we go. It's not too hard a process. It's not too time consuming. The fact that I've got paint on there already is helping, because it just does. If you've got something that's unpainted, obviously you're going to take a little bit more coverage, so you might need to do 3 coats of paint. Just depends on the colour that you use. But that's it. That's basically it. Also, if you do have access to a sprayer, Wicker sprays beautifully, because you don't have to work it into all the little bits of texture. I don't have a sprayer. I don't have anywhere that I can spray. Also, I know I'd be pretty lethal with a sprayer. I'd just start spraying everything. Kids, dogs, anything that I could get my hands on, I'd just spray it. So it's best off me just leaving, just working with a paintbrush. But it can be done with a paintbrush. So you can see there's pretty good coverage, to be fair. Evergreen is one of those colours that it does have good coverage. You can see it's slightly patchy because I've used obviously quite a lot of water, but once that's dried within a couple of hours and I've applied the second coat, that will be a much more solid colour of green. And now that it's painted that, I might end up keeping it. I do this all the time, and then I end up keeping stuff and I don't need it. So I will get this finished off camera and I'll top coat it, probably with a gloss, because I just like how it looks on bamboo. I like a nice shiny finish on bamboo. Hi Donna, I'm just coming to the end of my live. That's a little bit of a different time today than usual. So that's it. I promised you painted wicker, bamboo and cane, and that's what it is. If you've got any questions and I haven't noticed them pop up, because on the YouTube lives they pop up then they go again. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on my social media platforms. I'm on all of them. And yeah, I'll be back next week with a different project. I don't know what yet. I don't know what, but a different one. Not wicker, because we've done that. We've ticked that box. We've done it. And like I say, if you did want a slightly shorter edited video, I've got one over on my YouTube channel at Faff Designs, and I've got lots and lots of other content on there as well. Just about to drop, I say just about, in the next couple of days, there'll be a new video on there of a little bureau that I painted for myself. And that's it. So if you've got any content that you'd like to see me do on a live, drop it in the comments and I will read the comments and see if I can kind of tie that into doing something live with you. If you want to see any particular Dixie Belle product, or if you want to see any particular technique, always willing to listen to you guys. And if I can do it, can't do everything. I'm not a pro at everything either. I tend to lean to the stuff, obviously, that I know I can talk a little bit about. Otherwise, I'd be like, wouldn't be able to talk to you about it. So yeah, it'd be like, I don't know an example, but I'd just be talking nonsense. Well, I do that anyway, actually. But also, if you've not seen me before and you can hear any weird noises in the background, that's peacocks. We've got wild peacocks walking around my village, which is, they're the ones that are making the weird noise, not like any child or anything. So yeah, I'll stop rambling. No more caffeine for me today. I've had enough, clearly. And thank you for watching. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for watching if you've never watched before. Thank you for watching if you have watched before. You've got peacocks in your garden as well, in your village as well, Donna. They're so noisy. They go all night. That sounds so bad. They shout all night. Sometimes I get up for the loo at like 3 o'clock in the morning and they're still going in the background. I'm like, do you never stop? Do you never sleep? And they're worse at this time of the year. This is the worst time of year. We moved into this house at this time of year, and I stood in the back garden when we just moved in, and I was, what is that noise? I was like, what is going on? Who is that making that horrible screaming noise? I thought something bad was happening, but it's just a bird, just a peacock. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. I'm going to now go and sort tea out for my hungry kids that have been round an inflatable floating assault course this morning. So yeah, I'll see you next week. I'll have a new project that I can do with you, something quick and easy that I can show you, and have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.